Everybody get up.
If you saw on Facebook, you saw my quote that the 90-10 principle. I'm sure all of you are familiar with it. The fact that 10% of our lives are made up of things that we cannot control, and the other 90% is determined by the way we respond to the 10%. So I think that is so eye-opening, and I know it's like something that we all pretty much know, but unfortunately we need to be reminded of this. And even though I'm here to like talk to you about it, usually the messages that I share are things that I am working through myself and things that I've recently learned. So I'm not claiming to be like an expert or anything. I just simply want to share the things that I'm learning, because we also know that when you share what you're learning and you teach people certain principles, it kind of sticks in your brain a little bit better. And we need that, right? We need constant reminders. We need those positive affirmations. And so this is kind of my own little personal positive affirmation I'm giving to you guys as well as myself. So just know that I'm not claiming to be an expert. I just love to talk about these things for my own benefit as well. So basically, in Stephen R. Covey's book, he talks about this, a story of a dad and a little girl. They're having breakfast together, and the daughter accidentally spills some coffee on her dad's shirt, and he's like all ready for work, and so he freaks out, gets really upset at her, and he yells at her. He runs upstairs, changes his shirt, comes downstairs and notices that she's still upset and hasn't been able to finish her breakfast, and then she ends up missing the bus, and then so he ends up having to take her to school. So he takes her to school. He drops her off. She doesn't say goodbye because she's still upset at him. So he's like running late. So he's speeding to work and ends up getting a speeding ticket. And then gets to work late, obviously, and realizes that he left his briefcase at home. And then the day just continues to get worse from there. And basically, it all started from the spilled coffee and the way he responded. And all of that could have been avoided by simply responding in a much more like sweeter way to his daughter, because it was an accident. So by him responding nicer to his daughter, it could have prevented his day from turning sour very quickly. Today I wanted to share with you how this relates to me recently. Yesterday I told you on Periscope that I kind of did not have such a good week last week, and I'm willing to admit that it was because of me, because of my choices and the way that I chose to respond to certain situations. Basically, Sean and I were having a conversation, and I chose to get my feelings hurt, and then it let that affect the way I felt for a good 2 days, maybe 3, and the way I treated everybody, especially Sean and the kids, and it just continued to get worse and worse. And you know, we've all had those days where we're just like, oh, nothing's going right. Like, what we don't realize a lot of times is that we have caused that ourselves, and it's the sad truth. But hopefully we can try over and over and over throughout our lives to get better at this and master this principle, because it's definitely not an easy one to master. I mean, I'm 34 years old and I still act like a child sometimes. And how many times have you ever said, like, oh, you're making me so mad, right? I say that to my kids, and I'm like, oh, I better be careful what I say, because I don't want to teach them that they actually have the control to make me mad, because they don't. I have the control over that, and I don't want them to think that that's the way we live our lives, is blaming other people. Oh, I'm not good at this because my mom didn't teach me that, or we were really poor growing up, so I didn't get to go to college, and so therefore I can't find a good job, or I'm really overweight because we were taught really bad eating habits growing up. And I mean, there's so many excuses that we could come up with, and And, you know, it's easy to blame other people, right? Sometimes we just feel like, it's just like, that's what we want to do. We just want to blame somebody else for our circumstances and the way our lives have turned out, or our unhappiness, or our lack of success. And we just need to try to get really good at defining where the true problem lies, and that's with ourselves and our choices, the way we choose to react. It's hard being a mom because you have to, like, not only are we still learning, but we have to, like, try to be like a perfect example to them. And even this morning I felt really bad because I like snapped at Lily for just like getting some gum out of my purse, and I hate when she does that because then all the other kids want gum, and I'm like, she's going to school, you can't have gum at school. So I'm like, Lily, stop it. And she's like, wait, why are you getting so mad? I'm like, oh, sorry, Lily. Like, it's so hard to be like a good example, but I want to be the kind of example where I am humble enough to admit when I'm wrong and to say sorry. I always find it really interesting when I read about people in third world countries, and we've learned that overall their level of happiness is no greater than ours. Our attitudes towards our circumstances or the things that we've been dealt, that little 10%, I mean 90%, that's a lot. We've been given a lot of control over our lives, and that's such a blessing. So I think it all comes down to three things. Number one, being humble, accepting fault, accepting constructive criticism, being teachable. Number two, being proactive. We need to build that kind of life that we always wanted and that we dreamed of, because we can create that. It's all a matter of our choices and how we choose to use our time and to respond. Take action, and no more making excuses like, I'm an introvert, that's why I don't have a lot of friends, or I don't date, or that's why I can't sell or build a business because I'm just no good at that. But I mean, who says that you're no good at that? I mean, maybe you just have not learned all that you need to learn. So get educated and figure out how you can be better at that and overcome those things, and stop putting labels on ourselves, you know, like, that's just the way I am. It runs in my genes to be overweight or to be unhealthy. I mean, yeah, genes play a role in a lot of things, but that does not limit us from our abilities to exceed that. And the last thing is being grateful. Yeah, I believe that pretty much anytime you are feeling like you're, you know, having a hard time, in any situation, you can always find the positive. And it's just a matter of like looking for it and just being grateful for the lessons in the trials, and to enjoy the journey, right? We have the choice to respond positively to any situation. We just need to figure out how to get really good at it. And I believe that is kind of a lifelong process. But it's good to have these reminders and to motivate us to try harder and to be better than we were yesterday.